So it is the end of a tense few days as we have been trying to understand one of the mysteries of the osprey, and that's an osprey that went missing. So we've come down to celebrate, partly with there's a shandy there, and with Paul, and I'm going to try to explain to you as quickly as possible exactly what happened and exactly what followed and what we now know. I'm going to see if Paul can actually film it for us. Is it possible to turn the camera back around? Yes. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay. So the bird in question is a bird called Glen, otherwise known as 708. It's a bird that was tagged this year up at Tweed Valley. So we've been speaking to Di from Tweed Valley about the passage of this bird, and she let us know at the point where the bird had been hanging out down in Cornwall, and suddenly it had done a track off to the southwest, but the track there had disappeared. So no more signals had come in whatsoever. It had been coming up to 48 hours, so nearly 2 days the bird had been potentially lost out at sea, not in range of any signal. So we'd had a chat then, and it was pretty tense. We had, to be honest, because we have already lost another bird, Kirk, we thought that actually the chances of it surviving were quite slim. And then Guy called again with another fantastic bit of news to say actually the bird had sent another signal, and it had made it all the way across to Spain, but via a slightly unusual route. So let me see if I can pull that out for you. So it had done this incredible journey with a few kinks. It had actually taken off into a bit of a headwind. So this would have been a long, difficult bit of flight, flapping all the time because there's no thermals out at sea. But the really weird bit was when you get in close and see this very strange, very angular section. So it's a series of right angles, straight down that way, right angle, straight back up this way. What on earth was going on? So my gut reaction to that was that was likely firstly to contact my brother, who used to work on fishing trawlers, now works on bigger ships, and looked like it could have been a ship that was programmed to trawl, to do transit or to trawl back and forward. And then looking at the depth of it, realised actually it couldn't be bottom trawling, it could be mid-water trawling. So in speaking to the local BirdLife partner, SEO, believes that actually mid-water trawling is actually illegal in Spain. So could the bird have just rumbled an illegal trawler? Now that would have been quite dramatic. Tim McCrill, who we'd also spoken to about this, suggested he actually thought it could be the fact that the bird had got onto two vessels. This looks too much of a right angle to me here for the bird to have flown at right angle between two ships. But it was still a possibility. And then Joanna from Kildare messaged me and said, that is exactly, those two tracks line up exactly with the busiest shipping lines. And I googled that and found she was in fact right. So this is a map showing, highlighting in bright green where the busiest tracks are, and there's one directly through there and one directly through there. So it does line up. At that point I thought actually Tim was probably onto something there, and it was likely two vessels. But we needed to know exactly, I wanted to know exactly, so I contacted a company called Vessel Finder online, who show, you can look up their website and see where ships are right now, but it was difficult to look at the historical tracks. Luckily, a man called Alexander then emailed me back, having created this animation which shows exactly what happened, and here you have it sped up in super time. So here you've got first osprey track and two ships. So if I play the track, this is where we get our osprey jumps on board a ship called the Agia Triada, went back all the way with another ship called the Nickel, and then realised it was probably going in the wrong direction, jumped ship and actually carried on. And the track didn't actually finish there. It hit ground on a rock in the very northern tip of Spain. And in all of that, so basically all of darkness, so from about 9 p.m. to about 9 a.m. in the morning, it was basically hitching a ride with a couple of ships. Now we can know also exactly what ships they are. The first one is the Agia Triada, which is this massive container vessel. And as Di noted from the tracks, you could see that it was at a position quite high up. And then, yeah, this is a big container vessel. And then the next ship it jumped onto was an LPG tanker, which is a bit lower. So the next tracks, it showed that it was slightly lower. So we thought it might have gone from a higher deck to a lower deck, but it actually had completely jumped ship. And from there, I was put in touch with the companies running the two vessels, who got in touch with the skippers of both vessels, the captains of both vessels, who both said actually that they hadn't noticed the bird on board, but if ever that happens, that's seen as a good omen to them. And one of the ships, this one, the Eco Michael, did actually go out and look for any signs of the osprey, and lo and behold, on the top deck there were a series of feathers. So they managed to send through, a series of feathers that are very likely to be ones from Glen. So that in all of that, very tense moment from assuming that Glen had gone, to realising that actually he was okay and had hitched a ride on ships. Was he exhausted? Did he actually see land and think it was see ships and think that it was land? But either way, throughout the night, it was hitching a ride on a couple of vessels that we are very thankful to. Thanks also to the photographers who are now out trying to watch Glen's journey as he goes south. He hasn't been staying anywhere for particularly long, so he's currently headed to Portugal by the look of it. That is the end of the story, except that El País and various other media are now also following the journey of Glen as he crosses Spain. So, tense, but mystery solved.